in this house. There's some whores in this house. There's some whores in this house. There's some whores in this house. I said certified freak. 7 days a week. Wet ass P word. Make that pull-out game weak. Yeah, you effing with some wet ass P word. Bring a bucket and a mop for this wet ass P word. Give me everything you've got for this wet ass P word. Beat it up, N-word, catch a charge. Extra large and extra hard. Put this P word right in your face. Swipe your nose like a credit card. Hop on top, I want to ride. I do a kegel while it's inside. Spit in my mouth, look in my eyes. This P word is wet, come take a dive. And continue along these lines. And it gets significantly more vulgar. Like, a lot more vulgar.
When the whole world was dragged into World War III, brave men like my father fought on the front lines. And they weren't alone. That was 20 years ago. Now it's up to us to carry on their legacy. And every so often, the earth from which we come gives way for something new. Something greater to be born, and with them, even greater threats to face. Bring it on! Phenomenova. For you, Dad. For you.
I just wanted to be like the Crusader Corps. Like my father. I thought with my new powers I could be. But I failed. I let everyone down. I got people hurt. I just wanted to make the world a better place. And instead I made things worse.
But now I have the chance to make things right with the help of one of the Crusader Corps. The Phoenix section. And I will. I have to. Whatever it takes. I will find that spark again.
We call ourselves Phenomenova. Yesterday, the Stormbearers, a deadly group of mercenaries, took control of a nuclear reactor. Before we arrived on the scene, Galvanite, a superpowered teenage boy, attempted to stop them. He failed. His story ended there that day. Ours began shortly after. Today, I sift through the memories of that day. I will put the pieces together, and we will bring those responsible to justice.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble!
Ladies and gentlemen, start your engines.
Someone says, what's the future? Vaughn Coleman.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. What? All right, hang on. This setup is now all right. It should be 1 second. How do we want to? There we go. There we go. What's going on, guys? It's your boy Vaughn Coleman, and yeah, as you can guess, I am back from AmericaFest. Do apologize. I'm not near my normal mic, so if I sound crappy, that's why. I'm streaming from my laptop. I'm in a different location right now, but I got back from AmericaFest from Phoenix, Arizona last night. It was a whole lot of fun, dude. This weekend was great. It was great. Oh my God. Yeah. As soon as I start the stream, I've got my computer does that. My Mac does that. So I apologize in advance for any alerts, but it was a great weekend, man. Really just a ton of fun. And the fact that I'm not like super political, right? Almost made it more fun, because I was able to plug in and out as much as I wanted to. If I was like, this is, too much, whatever, I could just go and hang out. And there was so much to do. It was weird. It was like a 4-day show, but it was like the quietest day felt like Saturday. You think I lost my voice? I think I'm talking at a pretty normal volume. Yeah. You went for the babes. We get it. Look, the women were very good looking there, just in general, walking around. I will say that. Like, they tend to be more attractive. I don't know, the way a lot of blonde hair too, a lot of blondes. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. Did you slip JD a copy of Phenomenova? I wish, dude. Just chuck it on stage. JD. No, I didn't. I didn't get to send everyone cosplayers. No, I don't. There weren't cosplayers. This wasn't a comic convention, so I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know, like, is this going to be fun? Because it's like people are going to find out pretty quickly if they start talking about pure politics that's my thing. Did you see my wife there? You're not married, MSK. I hate to break the news to you. What's going on, vagabond? Nicki Minaj, Phenomenova, #1 fan. Maybe one day. We hope so. You were not there, nor did you go home with a lot of girls. You were lying. But no, it was a ton of fun. So I got there on Wednesday. I checked in early. I was wearing my Phenomenova shirt, but I was told it was mostly business. And then, of course, when I told my mom that, I'm like, all right, I'll just put on like a shirt, whatever. She's like, no, you're getting a tie, you're getting a blazer, you have new shoes, everything. So I was dripped to the max, ladies and gentlemen. And people would pick up on it, like, damn, you look sharp. I was like, thank you. I just kind of wore what I had. First of all, it was hot, so God only knows how much sweat is in those, but I looked and felt dapper as hell, man. Strictly business. No, there was some fun. There was absolutely some fun. You were not there. So I stayed with Professor Savage Dad, and then I would commute, every day. I got some shirts, of course, that was fun. And, real quick, I want to, because people know me, they know I'm very open about the fact that at least by today's standards, I lean right, but it was never I'm not a huge thing. I had a few opportunities when I was in college to go to some of these, and I was like, that just doesn't seem like my thing, it's so, I'll give you some context before my history with Turning Point and whatever. So I was in Turning Point in college. I've told this story on air, but for those of you that are new, I'll speed through it pretty quick. So I was a freshman. I wanted to do film. I was majoring in film. And one of my earlier classes, my economics professor said that he leaned more right, conservative, libertarian. And I said, I did the same. After class, some kid comes up to me and goes, hey, heard you're conservative libertarian. Me too. Do you want to join? Have you heard of Turning Point USA? I said, yeah, I've heard of it. I said, do you want to join? I said, I appreciate it. Even though, I have my views and whatever, like I know I'm an entertainer. It's not really my thing. Well, flash forward, it was just so much just super left-wing stuff. I was like, I just need people to vent to. And so I was like, I reached out to him. I'm like, hey, when's the first meeting? So I ended up being a founding member. And I was technically briefly president because they were a year older than me. And when they left, they're like, Vaughn, you take over. I'm like, dude, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm like, I gave it to my buddy Sammy, who was a year below me. So like on paper I was president, but I was never like truly president. You know what I mean? Like it's not my thing. It's not my thing. And I knew that. And so, unfortunately, so they hated Sammy. They were really nasty to him. He's not with us anymore. I try to, out of respect for the family, not go into details, but yeah, I think a lot of what they did got to him. And I wish he could have been there at AmFest because it was apparently the biggest attendance ever. So my thoughts, they do go to Sammy Neves. He was the Turning Point head at Emerson College. See, it wasn't very cult-like. Like I'm fairly moderate, and it was funny. It was funny too because they were talking about how they were like, oh, they hate immigrants and everything, and it was the guy who started it was a Colombian immigrant. Then we had like half the members of the group were immigrants. We had a Muslim guy from Pakistan. We had like some people from Colombia, from Russia. We were like more diverse than like some of the like more lefty groups. It was pretty funny. And it wasn't like we tried to. I don't know. That always cracked me up because I'm like, I've seen your guys' meetings. Like ours are more ethnically diverse, and ideologically too. We'd go back and forth. Oh, I feel this way. I feel this way, and that was that. And then I was kind of like, I don't want to be. I'm an entertainer first and foremost. And it was September 10th this year. I'm getting a haircut because we're going to go into the city. My mom wants me to get a haircut before 9/11. And my barber is like, oh my God, I hear this guy, Charlie, something got shot. And I immediately go, oh my God. And I see the footage and my heart sinks. And then it sinks way deeper when I see the reaction to it. I felt sick. People who I know were either celebrating or just saying really gross shit. And it honestly, especially the time of year, so close to my dad. And I remember getting home to my mom and she's in tears. It reminded her of my dad's murder, in a lot of ways. He was close in age. He had 2 kids, just like he did. And what was really upsetting to me was how many of those people that just celebrated, like, let's be real, Charlie, anyone who thinks if you think he's a Nazi, you're a fucking idiot. I don't respect your opinion. And they start going, oh, like, never forget. And I'm like, dude, you realize like half the people in those buildings would have agreed with Charlie Kirk, right? You would have advocated for their murders too. So it was like, I make my posts and whatever, and I see and a lot of those likes were people that were just saying awful shit the day before. And it's like, I know you don't care. And I know if it happened today, you would celebrate. Because I was in class. There were multiple times I was in class. And I would see people like basically downplaying or even trying to justify 9/11, knowing my history. And that was really disturbing. And so I kind of said, you know what? I might lose some business, but I'm kind of open about where and the thing is, I'm still fairly moderate, but it doesn't matter. I mean, dude, J.K. Rowling is a liberal. She has like one point of view that's different from them, and they want to kill her. So it's like, what's the point, And I kind of I realized I didn't want to grow up in a world where other kids lose their dad the way I do, or have to pretend that it was right. Because it's not. And when I posted about that, I lost like 30 followers. And just today, after posting my AmFest stuff, I lost like 30 more.
and probably will lose more. But I'm seeing a lot of shares, so I know people from my school are like, "Can you believe it? You have no right to pro clutch." All right, no right. We don't share the same value, and this is one of the things I liked about AmFest a lot is so I don't know exactly what my views are, but I know I'm not a communist. I know I'm not a fascist. I know I'm not a Nazi. I know those things for sure. And what's funny is, so there was talk of a lot of infighting. The fact of the matter is that's because, and I'll get into this more, the Republican Party is becoming almost like a refuge for people that feel either politically homeless or like they just don't want to deal with the crazy far left and the constant purity tests and everything like that. You don't have to be a hardcore conservative to belong there now. It's funny, you don't even have to be a conservative to be a conservative, if that makes sense. It's really strange. And I kind of like it personally because I like engaging with people I disagree with. And I'm still, hell, I don't have all the answers, but I know that celebrating a father's murder in front of his children is sickening. And I will never take moral lessons from anyone like that, ever. Oh, you found a joke offensive? I don't care. You cheered when someone was murdered. Go fuck yourself. So that was the heavy stuff. Let's get that out of the way because let's get into the fun stuff. So I arrive and it is Wednesday. I'm exploring. There's like the exhibitor hall, whatnot. I'm getting free stuff, whatever. I brought some copies of Phenomenova. So much stuff. I shouldn't have carried so much, and I should have given out more copies, but I only gave out a few. Because the thing is, people aren't allowed bags there. Like Comic-Con, I could, it's easy. You can even make transactions, right? Or at least you just, you could give it and you have a backpack. I couldn't have a backpack. So I was like, I'll only bring a few. And you had to bring like a clear plastic bag, even a tote bag they wouldn't let you bring. Even when I bought at the event, I brought it back the next day and they're like, we can't let you in with that. I'm like, I bought it here. They're like, doesn't matter. Like heavy security. Really, I've never seen anything like it. But again, I don't blame them. I do not blame them. And I go in and I'm exploring, and it's just so cool. Like the whole. Let me see if I have footage of the facility itself. I don't. Let me airdrop that to myself. But it was like you could just tell they were really, really honoring Charlie. It was really. It just, we all felt it, but we felt the sense of unity that it didn't matter, what your views were, but we all kind of knew, hey, this is wrong. How do we stop more people we love from dying? And Erica Kirk came on the stage event. Well, so I'm walking around and I saw Melanie Mack and Quartering. I didn't talk to Quartering first day, but I did talk to Melanie Mack. She was a total sweetheart. Let me see. Let me go ahead and pull up some. God, hold on. No, that's not what I want. I want to pull up my post. I should have had this ready. I have a bunch of tabs, but then I didn't have this open. So I'm posting a bunch of these. And I'm waiting for the inevitable. You posted this person. They said this, blah, 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 because these people can't understand. And this is, I think, one of the other main to talk. I didn't because I forgot I uploaded some videos. Okay. So MSK, I don't think you should speak on stage, buddy. I love you. You say some unhinged stuff. And yeah. You walk down the stairs, and immediately you get this right here. I guess my dumbass just forgot to stop recording. And also, the last few I just So that was basically what the venue was like. Now I do see Melanie, so I go and I talk, and it's great. And then I end up going because Erica Kirk is going to speak. I see people are lining up way in advance. Now I was luckily VIP, so I go in there and I get a really good spot. And I see Erica Kirk comes on stage. So it was 5 speakers the first day, 5 of the best speakers the first day, and it kind of like was up and down in the middle. Not saying they were bad, but then it was like the big guns for the end. Big guns from the beginning, like in, out, and then a couple of really cool ones in the middle. But we get up the stage, and maybe I'm biased because these are the first ones I saw. First of all, the way they hype everyone up is so cool. Like, I would love to have a comic convention with that kind of level of hype, obviously. But you'd have to have enough comic fans to really fill up a stadium like that. But God, just the entrances, they play like a bunch of clips, and then there's fireworks, and everyone walks through, and there's like smoke. It was so cool. I know it's not why you were there, but I hope it opens doors for you all the same. Yeah, no, me too. I hope so. Great seeing you, Justin. Keep in touch, man. Love you to death. And so Erica Kirk comes out and speaks, and she immediately unites everyone. Now, I didn't get some of the lore because I just know Candace went off the deep end, but she was apparently making jokes about like, oh, Egyptian, whatever. Like, oh, no Egyptians. But her iPad's dead. She has to kind of wing it. And she was great. Erica Kirk really brought a sense of, obviously, you know, she's still hurt, but the sense that like how many people are sticking by her and how important her husband's mission is. And that was really powerful stuff. And we're all like cheering. We're all going crazy. We love it. And then Ben Shapiro goes on stage, and there's an immediate mood shift because he's like, immediately he gets right into like, oh, here are the grifters. And we're like, whoa. Because we're like, oh, we're really getting into it. Wow. Because we had this whole togetherness. We may not always agree, but this. Then Ben Shapiro goes for the throat, and he just starts saying like this. Tucker's coming out later. He's going to have to answer for this. This person's going to answer for this. We're just like, whoa, because like there wasn't a lot of booing. There's cheering in parts, and it was also again because I don't know everything. I'm kind of going back and forth, conflicted because I'm like, yeah, I mean, he's making some valid points, but also, you know, togetherness and whatever. It was unfortunate the way he was placed, but like the first night kind of set the Civil War. There's a reason that I have Ben and Tucker next to each other in the thumbnail, and then I threw JD Vance in at the last second because I was like, I can't not put that in the thumbnail. So I do want to get into some of that. If you guys want, we can kind of go through. Yeah, we could take it like bit by bit, step by step. Oh yeah, the intro video, AmericaFest. Okay. I'm gonna, let's see, is Ben Shapiro, he only spoke for 9 minutes, or did they cut down his speech? They cut down his speech. Okay, that is weird. Okay, so there's some interesting stuff. Wow. So they really cut Tucker and Ben Shapiro's speeches down a lot for AmFest. That is very interesting. Okay. But I think it is worth talking about because, and I'm curious how people are feeling, because I'll tell you the truth. So when I was in the room, at first I was like, so the number one punching bag, the number one person that got clowned on throughout the whole event, it was like every other speaker or sometimes multiple in a row, would just Candace Owens. Everyone was shitting on Candace. It was really funny. And like even Erica did the subtle jab, Ben Shapiro did the least subtle jab. Everyone was just totally clowning on there. It was great. And then we continue onward. And after Ben goes basically scorched earth and calls out a bunch of people, we're like, that changed the tone. You know, we're still happy to be there. And next up is Russell Brand. And in the back of our heads, we're waiting for, because the last speaker is going to be Tucker. We're waiting. And sorry, 1 second. Just turning the light on. So we're waiting on Tucker. But we have Russell Brand, and Russell Brand is one of my favorites because his speech really inspired me. I'm definitely getting more in touch with my faith post AmFest, but really, because one of the reasons why is because, again, people would say he's conservative. He's like, I don't even know that I am. I don't know what I am. He's like, a lot of my views aren't technically right wing. He goes, I'm a Christian, or he'd say Christian. But Russell Brand was great. Like, he was funny. He was talking about his overcoming addiction, why he's out of Hollywood, and all of that good stuff. It was really powerful. And then next up, we had, I'm like, oh, Tucker's next. And it ended up being, one of the other things I do want to mention, I'm a bit all over the place, is Russell Brand. So he was a great icebreaker after Ben, because he was like, man, they put me in between Ben and Tucker. That's going to be interesting. He was really leaning into the bit and gave us all a much needed laugh after that. He really had a good feel for the room. And then one of my favorite bits, he's talking. So the Perrys, obviously Katy Perry, I've seen the documentary, she grew up singing gospel. Her parents were at the TPUSA conference. Apparently Russell's still close to them. And he goes, I was fine with Orlando Bloom, but Justin Trudeau, it was so good. Weirdest pairing, Justin Trudeau and Katy Perry. But you could tell Russell doesn't have any hate towards Katy. And then next up, we see Michael Knowles. And Michael Knowles, because at first I was like, oh, Tucker's going to be after. It was Michael Knowles. It was after Tucker. Or was after Russell Brand. And Michael Knowles gave one of, I think, the most important, intelligent speeches. I think he's very well spoken. Talking about what it means to be conservative or conservative movement. And he was basically given the history. He's like, okay, well, it's been super pro-immigrant, then it's pushing back, then it's this. It was less regulation, more. And he's going through a lot of the stuff. He's like, well, how is it all consistent? Well, obviously Christianity is a good component, but it's also, he was bringing down that, like, we have so many different groups. And if you look at a lot of people on the left these days, there's really not much room for disagreement, even within their own side, which is why I think more and more people, even liberals, are often finding themselves toward the right, or at least associating with people on the right. It's why you have people like Tulsi Gabbard and RFK Jr., are coming our direction. And even me, like, I don't know that I'm all that right-wing, by today's standards, sure. But basically, he breaks it down. And the main takeaway, I think, across all speakers that we kind of agreed on is it was America comes first. Whatever our beliefs, it has to be in favor of America. And America was, doesn't mean you can't have other beliefs, but it was built upon Christian values, like even free speech and all those things came from a Christian base, right? And I think that's important. So moving into that, Michael Knowles gives a speech, and then Tucker Carlson comes out with his. And you know what? I think, let me see if I could find it, because I think it's important that we go through what Ben Shapiro had to say. And then we kind of give. Damn, he spoke for 30 minutes. It was nuts, dude. The whole weekend we were all talking. Oh, right, Tucker, Ben. Most people are like somewhere in the middle. Ben, I understand where he's coming from. This, and it was a lot of debate. That was the biggest debate, was between, like, who's right, Tucker or Ben?
To be here today, because the golden age of America. Vladimir said back to me, no, you aren't, Mr. President. And I said, well, I might.
Oh, that's 2024. Okay, that's not what we want. That's not what we want. We want 2025.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Who seek to undermine fundamental principles of conservatism by championing enervation and grievance. These people are frauds, and they are grifters, and they do not deserve your time. And they are some
like, oh my God. But to be honest, it wasn't. And I'll tell you why it wasn't that bad. is because, and people keep bringing this up. People are like, why is there so much infighting? The truth is, it's because we're not a monolith. And it's going to happen. We're going to disagree with each other, and it's going to be okay, because we don't want the cult-like bullshit. And so people were able, like, I was in line with people, and someone would be like, oh, I was more toward Ben. I was more toward Tucker. I could see the bit. And we talk it out. Oh, I thought this person made a good point. I don't really agree. There was no, like, big, like, people, I think, played this up way more than it needed to get played up. The fact of the matter is, yeah, there was a little, but, like, the average person is just kind of like, you know, we can agree, disagree. It's really not that big of a deal.
Something worse than that. A danger to the only movement capable of stopping the left from wrecking the country wholesale. So today, I want to discuss 5 obligations that people who speak to you on matters of importance have to you. I want to speak to you about our duties. Our first duty is truth. We owe you the truth. That means we should not mislead you. It means we shouldn't hide the ball. We shouldn't be deliberately obscure about what we're telling you. We have an obligation to clarity and to honesty. This means that we actually have to be clear in the language that we use. We should not traffic in generality. We should not say things like, they shot Charlie, without specifying whom we mean by they. The person who allegedly shot Charlie Kirk, and whom all the evidence points at, all of it, is a gay, trans-loving furry.
So like I said, a lot of shots at Candace.
If we are going to target ideological movements, we should talk about the fact that the radical trans movement treats all those who oppose it as existential threats. Or if we're going to talk about the Democratic Party making room for the radical trans movement and echoing its inflammatory rhetoric.
We go, where is he dunking on Candace? There's no timestamps. God damn it. All right, point is, he goes off on Tucker. He goes off on whatever. It's a whole thing, right? So now Tucker gets to come back. And I only want to watch the beginning. I will, if we have time for it, I will do a Tucker Carlson drinking game, because, oh my God, dude, it's insane. The Tucker, okay, so Tucker comes out and he's immediately, and I'll play just the beginning at least. Tucker comes out after all this time. And I will say Tucker played the room as better. You know, that's one of the things I will say. Tucker, in a lot of ways, is more charismatic than Ben. Does that mean he's right? No, but I do think he did better crowd work. He did better. Ben came out and was like firing off his talking points. Tucker was more so, how do I make everyone in the room feel better? And so for that reason, I think a lot of people were like, Tucker he won. Like, okay, Ben dunked on Candace, made some good points, but Tucker came out winning. And I think a lot of people slept on it. And then their opinions either changed or were reinforced, or they started to question it. Because I think everyone in the room wants to feel unified, right? You want to feel good. But the problem with Tucker's thing is, when I slept on it, I was like, he didn't really address any of Ben's points. And he said a lot of stuff that was kind of weird. But he said it in a charming enough way where if you don't think about it, that's good. And Kai debate? Who was Kai? Because I was there for when Michael was asking questions. So here we go. This is the most anticipated one.
Oh, what a trip. Thank you very much. Oh, yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, like I said, there wasn't a lot of booing. Like, everyone, like, even though I was like kind of, all right, Tucker, you've got some explaining to do. When he showed up, a lot of people were still clapping, because at the end of the day, even if we don't always agree with someone, you want to hear what they have to say, right?
Whoa!
Again, Tucker played this off.
Thank you.
Smiling.
Walking out is always such a trip at these things. I just got here, and I feel like I missed the first part of the program. Hope I didn't miss anything meaningful. But I just want to say, I don't think I did. No, I'm just kidding. I watched it. I laughed. That kind of bitter, sardonic laugh that emerges from you, and like, upside down world arrives. When your dog starts doing your taxes and you're like, wait, it's not supposed to work this way. To hear calls for like deplatforming and denouncing.
All right, so this is where. Okay, yeah, I must have missed that. Yeah, there were a lot of Israel questions. But
Arrives. When your dog starts.
all right, drinking. You know what? Fuck it. We're starting the drinking game. We'll see how long we want to go. Okay, drinking game, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go. Every time Tucker says, "Get your alcohol ready, guys." Every time he does Tucker face, like Tucker face. Every time he does, every time he says period, and every time he laughs, take a drink. Okay?
I don't think I did. No, I'm just kidding. I watched it.
Face.
I laughed. That kind of bitter, sardonic laugh that emerges from you when like upside down world arrives. When your dog starts doing your taxes and you're like, wait, it's not supposed to work this way. To hear calls for like deplatforming and denouncing people at a Charlie Kirk event, I'm like, what? This is hilarious.
That's a fake laugh, dude. All right, that was a Tucker laugh. That's a shot. So, all right, for context, basically, if you guys didn't see it, Ben was like, hey, Nick Fuentes has said a lot of this. Tucker didn't really press him on this. It's if we're going to have these people gaining these followings and we want open dialogues, you can't just say, I'm just asking questions, but then only ask certain people questions that says something, which is true, right? If you're going to be like, I'm just questioning Israel, but then you don't question Nick Fuentes at all. That's kind of like, all right, are you really just asking questions? And I think that's a valid point. I think that's a really valid point. And Tucker, here's the thing. Tucker spoke for 40 minutes. He just strawman Ben's position the entire time. And here's the thing. Tucker, again, he has that like dad energy or that like loving uncle, even down to his physique. So he's more charming off the bat and it kind of disarms you. But you think about it and it's like, Tucker, you didn't address, like, these are pretty big points that Ben's making. Like, this guy has said some crazy shit. No, he's not saying denounce it, but it's weird when you don't mention it. You know what I mean? Like, you can't be like, I'm just asking questions about Israel. I mean, you can, but people are allowed to criticize you when you then don't question some of the stuff Nick Fuentes has said about the Jews and about stuff like that. I don't find it consistent. And I don't think there's anything wrong with pointing that out. Now, if you want to argue you didn't like the way Ben went about it, fine. But I think just boiling down Ben's point to just, he's calling for deplatforming. Okay, like, let's say he was. You can also address some of his other points. And that's why I'd love to see a debate between Tucker and Ben. Because it feels like Tucker was kind of just dodging a lot of what Ben was throwing at him. Now, granted, if I platform someone, if I have someone on my show, does that mean I have to answer for everything they've ever said or ask them every question? Of course not. Of course not. I have people I disagree with all the time. I took pictures with people I disagree with at this show. There's not a single person on this stage, Tucker, Ben, Eric, whatever, that I agree with 100% on everything. I don't believe in purity testing, but I think it's okay for Ben to ask questions. It's just like it's okay for you to ask questions, Tucker. It's okay for Ben to criticize you, just like it's okay for you to criticize Ben. I don't know. It seems weird. I think in the moment, more people were pro Team Tucker just because we wanted to kind of. Tucker did a very good job at de-escalating. All of it is tasteless. This event shouldn't be used as a place to dump petty grievances. I get what you're saying. I 100% get what you're saying. But I also think if we're talking about the future of the country, right? If there is a growing amount of people, and there is, it's fucking scary. My ancestors, they fought the Nazis, that are saying Hitler was right. That's scary. My great-grandfather, multiple of them fought in the war. My great-grandfather was Polish. He was Polish American. He died, as a gunner in the war. I don't like this. I don't. Again, Myron Gaines ended up wearing this, and that's not even his real name. I learned. I didn't realize. Like, I was like, oh, it's the Fresh and Fit guy. I didn't know he was like his how extreme his views were. He's wearing a shirt that's like basically pro Holocaust. Like, I don't want to be in the same team as that. I find that disgusting. Are we not allowed to call that out? Like, we have to unify with everybody. Like, all right. I think if you're a Nazi, a communist, neither of you are good for this country, and that shouldn't be a controversial take. And that's where I'm at. Does that mean like people should be censored? No, but I don't think Ben is wrong for being concerned. Now, again, if you want to disagree with the way he goes about it, that's fine. I think neither Ben nor Tucker handled this perfectly. And I think that's why there's still stuff in the air.
Yeah, this is hilarious. Actually, one of the clips I was listening to myself, thinking as I often do when I hear myself speak, which is never, because I never watch myself, but at these events, they always play like the role of you. And I'm like, that guy is pompous. Woo! Sorry about that. We don't see ourselves clearly. But the prediction that, at some point when Republicans took power again, which I did everything I could, to help, and really felt that was important. I still think, I was right. But I really thought that the impulse to deplatform people, or even to use the word platform as a verb, which it's not, it's a noun, don't steal my nouns, deplatform and denounce. Why haven't you denounced somebody else? The whole like Red Guard cultural revolution thing that we so hated and feared on the left, that we did everything.
I didn't even realize it's used so commonly. Platform is not a verb. And yeah, so, just the grammar Nazi in me, I got to agree with Tucker here.
We could to usher in a new time where you could have an actual debate. I mean, this kind of
Tucker. All right. So yeah. It's a lot. My generation, I'll take credit. I won't take credit. I didn't do it, but this generation does it. Like, okay, yeah, you could have a debate all the time, but like, if Ben's saying, why didn't you ask this person this? Why didn't you press them on this? He's allowed to do that.
Was the whole point.
Again, I haven't watched. So I'm not the most political person. Ben is too pro-Israel. It makes people trust him. Yeah. So apparently you either have to, there's this, Israel, again, one of the biggest talking points, a lot of criticism of Israel. And this is where, if I'm being honest, man, it really, I think the Groypers didn't look great this time because they strawmanned a lot of Ben's positions. Like, they really did. And they would, like, I'd watch things happen and they'd kind of be like, oh, it went down this way. And it's like, no, I was in the room. That's not how it went down. Right. Let people talk. Like, again, I think everyone here, I want Tucker to speak again next year. I disagree with a lot of what he said. I believe in that. What's up, Jack? Yeah, I think, so again, Tucker, he's very charming, but he doesn't address some really serious stuff. Now, again, Ben had unfortunate timing. Like, he should have been having him be the second speaker right after we're feeling so good. And then Ben is like, we got to talk about the grifters. And then like, that was all important to discuss, but it's like, immediately it's like, oh, we're into it. But here's the thing, like, again, the entire weekend, people are like, oh, it was a huge debate. Dude, when there was no civil war, though, like, people were disagreeing. Yeah, so again, I haven't watched Tucker's debate with Nick. So I can't say whether he was fair or not. I've heard things about it, but I have to reserve judgment. I do. Do I want to keep playing the Tucker drinking game? I don't know. Oh, look at that. All right, James Gunn's doing something with Brainiac. That's sick. Yeah. Not enough nerds in politics, by the way. What the hell, guys? Where's our gamer representation? Gamers rise up. Where's our comic book nerd representation? All 5 of us. Come on, guys. We need this. So yeah, all right. So there's one point. All right. So I watched this live, and the internet discourse is really interesting on it. Now, keep in mind. So a few things. So I don't know everything about the Israel conflict and all of that. I'm not going to pretend to. Okay. Like I said, America first, you know, you can, and that's another thing too, be like you can support Jews and still criticize a country, but you could also understand why it's important to them. Right. But ultimately I'm like, all right, I'm kind of at a point where I'm like plugged out enough where I'm fairly neutral on this. So I know the big talking point is the USS Liberty. And so Ben, right after he speaks and he goes crazy on him, not say crazy as a proud, just like he pops off. He opens up to some questions, and this kid asks questions. Now I'll let you guys decide, and then I'll put a poll in the chat. I know where I stand, what I think is winning. Let's see. So this kid comes up and asks about the USS Liberty, and this is something I've heard a lot. I'm just going to let this play out and let you guys debate how you guys feel about this. And again, it's important that we have dialogue. And you know what I like about the quote unquote conservative movement, because a lot of people are like, it's not even mostly conservative. Now, I mean, I'm biased because I was never like truly conservative, I guess, but I like that. I want people to disagree with. I think that's, let's find the best person for the job, guys. You know, and address issue by issue, and know that we don't all have to agree on everything.
We actually have to do much more than just ask questions. Just asking questions is something my 5-year-old does.
At TPUSA's AmericaFest, Ben Shapiro spent a lot of time whining about Tucker Carlson.
Okay, so hold on. All right. God damn it. I'm trying to find just the clip. Just the clip of Ben. I don't want God damn it. No opinions. Just you guys come to your own opinion.
Well, we should talk about.
All right, hold on. Let me see if I could find. Here we go. Okay, it is on Ben's channel. So one of the things I will say right out the bat, one of the things that they say is that Ben dodged the question, which I don't think is true at all. Like, not even a little bit true. I think he very clearly answered the question. But again, I'll be biased in saying I don't know that much about this thing. And also, that is all right. So that's one of the ways I think Tucker did win over the crowd. So he'll be like, I don't know all the answers, but it's also kind of a cop out, you know. So it can go both ways. I don't know. Also, all right, quick Ben Shapiro with the mustache. How are we feeling about it? Do we like clean shaven Ben or mustache Ben? You know, I'm going to make a rapid fire poll in the chat. All right, we're going to do. No facial hair. Facial hair. All right, let's put a poll in. The most important issue of our time. Should Ben Shapiro have facial hair? Right, there's an adjustment. He looks more seasoned, but it's also like smooth face, like this is epic. Ben Shapiro is so iconic. I don't know, like I'm really touching on the most pressing issues of our time with questions like this. This truly America is a divided country. If we can't even agree on this.
I think we should question any foreign country's relationship with our government.
That's totally fine, but I'm just wondering why you
serve.
No way. Hold on a second. Let me go back.
Maybe we could,
as the most important tenet of American.
You know, kid, and they bring you a macaroni painting and they're like, is it good or not? And you're like, no, this is terrible. And you stuff it in the trash. It is terrible, but say that it's good. And then later you kind of put that. I understand. But when we're talking about politics and policy, obviously the truth has to come first, because if we can't agree on fundamental facts, there's no possibility for solutions.
Thank you for being here, Ben. You cited during your speech truth as the most important tenet of American conservatism. Why, therefore, did you call irrelevant the Israeli attack in 1967 on the USS Liberty, which left dozens of American servicemen dead and hundreds wounded?
So what I actually said is that if we're looking at
What was interesting about being in the audience, it was like no one on my, so I was on the left side. If you're on the stage, okay, so if you're facing the stage with the right side, if I'm POV, I'm Ben Shapiro. I was on his right side. When this kid spoke, it was all the cheers came from the left side. So I'm wondering if like people that felt certain ways, now that I'm thinking about it, if they sat together, if people came in groups, I don't know, but it was like only people on like the opposite side of me. That could just be coincidence, but I found it interesting that it was like a big group cheered for the kid, like on one side, and then the rest of us were on this side. I don't know. I didn't see the people cheering, but I just thought that was interesting.
Israeli-American relations, looking at an attack that happened mistakenly by multiple Navy reports, multiple Israeli reports, and all available evidence, and using that attack in order to undermine today's relations between Israel and America, that's irrelevant. As irrelevant as it would be to cite a piece of evidence from World War II or from 1776 to define America's relations with, for example, Great Britain or Germany today. That does not mean that the attack wasn't horrible for the Americans involved, that it wasn't bloody and terrible. The Israeli government paid reparations to the people who were killed. If you look at the actual military record of what happened on the USS Liberty, it was clearly a mistaken and tragic attack. The people who frequently cite the USS Liberty, however, are not talking about the specifics of the USS Liberty. I suspect that the vast majority of people who bring this up are doing so in order to suggest that Israel deliberately attacked an American ship because Israel deliberately wants to harm America. It is connected generally with a larger point. I wonder if that's your point.
So first of all, people said that, and then like even Tucker brought up this point. He's like, the kid was totally innocent. Ben is just asking, man. Like, I'm sorry. I think people said Ben sidestepped the question. That doesn't sound like sidestepping to me, man. I mean, again, I don't know the history. If he's ducking and weaving, feel free to correct me in the chat. I will, but I'm just saying purely as someone who was uneducated on the situation, what I saw was Ben takes the question, explains the answer, doesn't downplay it, but clarifies his point and says, what was your intent in asking? Are you referring to this so that we could guide the direction of the conversation? I think Ben handled that well. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like a lot of the people have like and I'm not trying to be, people are going to be like, you're shelling for Israel. No, I just, like, can we just talk? Do we have to put labels on everything? I just think that, like, I don't know. I feel like he made a good point. What's going on, Arvid? We're in tread carefully. We're going, to be fair, this is how AmericaFest started. It was like Erica Kirk. It was all nice and whatever. And then Ben Shapiro and Tucker. I didn't have the time, but I would love to do a thumbnail of those two fighting. All right. So apparently it wasn't clear or mistaken. So, okay. So he brings up that point. So again, listen, I'm a writer. I do not know all the details of this.
If the truth matters, then the Israeli government must be held accountable for that attack. The American flag was flying on that ship. You do not mistake an American ship for a foreign one when our flag is flying.
So, we can spend the rest of the time talking about the specifics of the U.S. Liberty attack, or you can actually go look at the naval investigations that were done, multiple naval investigations that were done. The reality is that people were flying Mirage planes for the Israeli military at the time. The USS Liberty was sailing in an area where it had essentially gone off-grid.
So this is another thing I want to point out. And this is why I'm generally siding with Ben here. And again, like, I don't know a ton about this, but based on the body language, you look at Ben is just, he's ready to respond right away. He doesn't dodge. I don't think he dodges the question at all. He's totally ready to respond. He's looked into this. If you want to argue he's misinformed or that he's spreading misinformation, that is fine. I don't know the details again, but I'm just saying he looks more confident than the kid did. I saw them both in the moment. It's weird. I thought it cut back to his face because it didn't really cut back to his face here. But to me, based on body language, it sounded like the kid had just like a gotcha moment, and then Ben didn't really get got. That's what it seemed like to me. Again, I don't know all the history, but it seems to me like because the kid asked Ben a direct question, Ben responded, then asked the question, the kid then brought up more information, which is fine, but didn't answer Ben's question.
The Israeli military mistook it for an Egyptian.
And he also says, I'm willing to talk about this more. But of course, there are 3 other speakers that have to go after Ben, and Tucker gets to have questions asked of him too. There was a hard out, I mean, like there's an out at that night. And it always stayed a little late, but he was only like there was time limits. So I don't think Ben was afraid to address this personally. I just don't.
Ship. They thought it was shelling Al Arish, which happened not to be true. In the initial attack, the American flag was knocked down, and then the attack went on for about 90 minutes. And then you can hear this, by the way, on the tapes of the Israeli pilots talking to each other. As soon as they realize that it's an American ship, they call off the attack. They speed a ship to try and help the USS Liberty. There have been multiple unfortunate friendly fire incidents between Allied forces, including, for example, in the Gulf War, where U.S. forces were responsible for killing about 9 British troops during the Gulf War. It's an unfortunate reality of war, but you're not answering my question, which is, what is your broader agenda in asking the question? Because I suspect that your question is not limited to your specific ire over an incident that happened in 1967.
I think we should question any foreign country's relation.
We know that. No one's disagreeing with you. Like, okay, I'm not trying to shit on this kid. Obviously, and this is a criticism people have made for better or worse, that okay, any of these guys would outclass most college students in a debate. Okay, I get that. But he's just repeating the same thing. He's like, I think
with our government.
That's totally fine, but I'm just
no one's saying you can't question it. That was another straw man they kept making is, you're saying we can't question Israel. No one's saying that. No one is saying you can. Anyone who does say that is going to be booed about it. It's nonsense.
Wondering why you
serve American interests.
Again, I'm perfectly fine with questioning any country's relationship with the United States. But again, I'm wondering what your motivation is in bringing up a 6-decade-old attack as though it is the number one issue in assessing the relationship between Israel and the United States today.
Well,
it's
problems persist to this day, but it's interesting that you say 6-decade-old incident when there are many people in this audience who were alive for that
That's
attack.
irrelevant. That's irrelevant. What are you talking about? Like, I'm sorry, that doesn't, like, things change over time. That's not, if something happened 6 decades ago, it doesn't, like, I just don't think this is a good point. I'm sorry.
As if this is something that's irrelevant.
Well,
that doesn't
no, it's just not particularly.
He's just using emotional arguments. I'm not even trying to be mean to the kid, but these are like emotional arguments, man. I don't see it.
Really relevant to assessing the relationship between the United States and Israel today, in the same way that in 1967, there are a wide variety of countries with which the United States had different relations. Okay, it's clear you're not going to actually answer the question, so I'm happy to move to this one.
He automatically thinks he's won because, all right, so yeah, I just exactly appeal to emotion. The kid is like, people die. And look, I get it, right? Like, God bless all the soldiers that died. And if Israel wasn't nefarious, like, let's say Israeli officials were, if it was nefarious in nature, were those people prosecuted? If not, then there we go. But like, he answered questions like that. Are you saying these people were nefarious in intent? Are they still in power? Those are the questions I want to, like, get to the meat of it. You know what I mean? Don't just be like, people died and it's bad. Like, okay, if you want to argue things are, I just don't. Yeah, that's deflection. Yeah, I get. Well, depends on who you're talking to. If you want to argue, Ben, it could be considered anti, but you could also argue anything is considered Nazism. I think the difference is just you're assuming everyone who defends Israel, they're like, you're just a dumb Zionist, and that's the problem I have. Is the there's like a pushback I notice where people will get, if you say anything good about Israel and someone's say, and I'm not saying this guy's a Groiper, but like I'm just using Groiper as an example. He might be, he might not be. If someone's like a Groiper, it's like any good thing you say on Israel, or even not even if it's not a good thing, even if it's a slight pushback, they'll be like, you're shilling for Israel. It's like, can we just talk? Can we have a conversation? Can we stop the labels? I don't. If the kid is right, there would be a bigger concern with our Navy's inspection, and that would be the focus. I don't know that they were. By the way, there was this girl who was right about to ask Tucker a question. Last girl in line. Girl was drop dead gorgeous. I didn't find her again, but I was like, man, she was about to ask a question. Anyway, yeah, that's it. I don't really have a point with that. And you go, what about the other person? Well, because the point is, all right, you have a limited time, cut to the chase, because you can drag an argument out forever, right? He's like, okay, bottom line, are we talking about Israel today? Like, why are we bringing this incident up? It's not to say it's not relevant. If you say, if I say my ancestors were like, my Irish ancestors were discriminated against or whatever, okay, someone has a right to ask me, Vaughn, are you implying that the Irish are discriminated against today? How is that rough? Or are you just bringing that up as an anecdote? Are you just saying it's something that's messed up? What's your intent in bringing that up? That is a perfectly fair question to ask. It's not them downplaying anything my ancestors went through. It's saying, what is your point in bringing this up? And I think that's perfectly fine to ask. We're allowed to criticize Israel without automatically being anti-Semites, but sauce for the goose is sauce for the gander. We're allowed to defend this without being Zionist shills too. Yeah, exactly. Like, why? All right. And then my friend did yeah, no, it is a tactic people use. But it's also, I noticed it's now becomes there's been an over defense to it where it's like, what are you accusing me of being anti-Semitic? No, just what is your point? Jesus Christ. What's your broader point? And then they're the one, they deflect every time. Like, are you implying the Jews are like, what are you implying? And again, that's not to like, if you're implying that, okay, fine, but like, be honest about it. And that's it. Any group can be subject to criticism. You want to criticize the Catholics, you want to criticize the Irish, you want to criticize whoever, you can do that. I think it's silly to like, there's not a protected class. Yeah, so that was interesting. Yeah, I don't know if I'm on the whole Tucker drinking game. I don't want to watch 40 goddamn minutes of that, to be honest. But so this was a big topic of debate throughout the whole weekend. Yeah, that was a point too. And now one thing I learned about Qatar is doing that too, guys. Tucker, my family's Catholic. No, my family doesn't hate the Jew. You can't just say it's how does insert entire group feel about insert entire group? That's not really. I mean, okay, there are exceptions. Like the Nazis probably didn't like the Jews, but like Catholics. Not really. They don't have necessarily a problem with the Jews. Some of them might. Some of them, but like from my experience, from my Catholic family, no, I don't see any Jew hatred in my family that I'm aware of. No, they seem to all be fine. No, oh wait, the Catholic I think was more of my mom's side. What was my dad's? Because most of my dad's friends growing up were Jewish, even though he was Christian. God, what were they? I don't think my dad was Catholic. What was he raised as? Was he raised as? Shoot. It's really going to bother me. What was he raised as? Was it Protestant? I don't know if it was Protestant. I should look into it. I forget what exactly he was. Was it Lutheran? No. I'll have to see what my dad was raised as. But he's certainly, he's not Catholic, so I guess he wasn't Catholic. I don't think. I don't remember because I know my mom, like my mom's side is the more Irish. I had Irish on both, like Irish blood on both, but like culturally, like more my mom's side. Um, yeah. But I don't know. I know my mom's side, like we're very, very Irish and very Catholic. Um, yeah. So then the next day so we go. I talk about it on stream that night. I was like, oh, okay, Tucker kind of won. And then I kind of realized, wait a minute, no, yeah, no, my family is like one of the biggest Irish families in New Jersey, the Wiltons. Okay, Russell Brand, he was great. There was a country concert. I think his name was Matt Smith, the guy. I don't remember exactly. So the next day I wake up, and it's a bit earlier of a wake up, and I go to the convention with Professor. And Professor starts talking, and at a certain point, I kind of like zone out, and I thought it was funny that he just did not stop talking. And so I thought it was really funny, and I wanted to bring this up. Right here.
For the rest of the state, which for the most part is highly agricultural and has no real major cities of any merit. I mean, you have Flagstaff and Tucson, but neither of them would be enough to sway anything. But yeah, they need to expand the electoral college at the state level.
So like,
that is a fault of our founding doctrines, was to let that only be a federal level thing. If you wanted to be a part of the union, you should have to have instituted an electoral college in your state.
Precisely.
Like, otherwise you're not part of the union, like California.
So at this point, like, I'm just like, I'm not listening to
California would, so many states would end up red because of it. Because most counties in most states generally are going to end up turning red.
For sure.
But you have a better representation. Like here we have, at most state levels, you have a peer democracy. It's disgusting.
You realize you've been talking for like a good 5 minutes, and I've just been going, yeah, man, sure.
It's because you're gay. You're used to saying, yeah, man.
All right. Disavow Professor's last statement. Ridiculous. Untrue. I didn't see, because Ben Shapiro called out Tucker, Megyn Kelly, and Steve Bannon. I didn't watch Steve Bannon. And the one speech I'm most pissed about, so I missed Megyn Kelly and I missed Steve Bannon's speeches. There's a certain point where I'm like, I know it's mostly political, but like a lot of my favorite speeches weren't even that political, right? I like the more human element underneath, and I especially the nonpartisan stuff. But I didn't watch those. I was like, I've had enough drama for Thursday. You know, I don't. Like, I was already in my seat when the Tucker thing happened, when it was like Ben, Tucker, like I was locked in. But I didn't really listen. I didn't listen to those. But the one speech I'm most pissed about missing was Ben Carson. I was eating. I got the time wrong. And just by like a couple minutes, I missed Ben Carson. I'm pissed, dude. I lost track of time and I missed Ben Carson. And that was one of them. So I definitely want to watch that. Because that he's a genius. To be fair, most people don't like Catholics either. Well, yeah, including Catholics. Dude, they hate themselves and each other. Catholic guilt is a crazy thing. So many Catholic people are like, I was raised Catholic. I have, it was the worst. Catholic school is the worst. No, I don't think anyone hates Catholics more than Catholics. And they hate each other. They hate themselves and each other. It's pretty crazy. It's pretty nuts, to be honest. Catholics, it's true, dude. You want to talk about infighting. Catholics, man. Catholics. NJ is 100% Irish, Italian, and Jewish. So I have some Italian and some Irish. No Jewish in me. I feel like New York is more Jewish than New Jersey, at least based on my experience. But I guess it depends on the area. But a lot of Irish and Italian in New Jersey for sure. I know, like, I had a handful of Jewish kids in my town. Yeah. Yeah, a lot of Italian and Irish though in New Jersey, which I am more Irish, but I do have some Italian. Okay, so anyway, I get to the place. And everyone is talking the next day. It's a big thing. Oh my God, Ben Shapiro and Tucker, they're fighting it out. Blah, 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 blah. Crazy. It's a big, it was a big thing. It was a big thing. And that night, you know, I don't think I watched that many speeches. I'm trying to see where it is, but the one this pissed me off. Okay, so they put Erica Kirk was doing a live Q&A, and it was apolitical, which I liked. It was ask me nice, fun questions, and then also you had Rob Schneider meet and greet around the same time. I'm like, shit. I'm like, God, there was like a space where nothing at least that interested me was happening. And then two things at once, which granted, that's the convention thing in general. I'm like, shit. So I'm like, all right, well, you know, he's an actor, could be good connections. Also, you know, I've seen some of his movies. I'm going to have to go see Rob Schneider. And then right after Rob Schneider does his meet and greet in the student lounge, we head over down to watch him do his speech. And so I get on the line. If I had not taken the 2 seconds to get like an ice cream, I probably would have made it. But I was like, I'm going to be online for a while. I'm getting a goddamn ice cream. Should not have done that. Or it's like a frozen banana, chocolate banana. Anyway, not the point. So, yeah. So I go there. I narrowly miss him, but I did get. Let's see if I have some of the footage I got of Rob. Do I have it? 1 second. Yeah. Okay. So I'm like, I may not get footage with him. I may not get a photo with him, but God damn it, I'm getting something. So I go ahead and I pulled. There we go. That was definitely worth taking time for. Admiral Thomas Hinman Moore was a high-ranking naval officer who said the USS Liberty International was asked on evidence of a prolonged targeted assault jamming of U.S. radio channels, but I don't know. Okay, that's interesting. See, the debate can continue, and I think Ben was willing to have a debate on it, but he was trying to get to the meat of the question, which you're allowed to do. Like, okay, and it's not inherently anti-Semitism. You know, I know plenty of Jews that criticize Israel. It's fine, but he's just getting to the point. Okay, are you saying you're bringing up this incident from 60 years ago? Are you applying it to today? That's perfectly fine if you want to apply it to today. There are so many times when I'm in a discussion with someone, I'll bring up something from the past and say, and here's how it affects today, or here's how it parallels today. It's a perfectly fair question to ask because obviously he wouldn't bring that up if he wasn't trying to question Israel today, which again is fine. That was my whole point, right? They're straw manning what Ben is like. He's clearly questioning Israel today, and Ben even said it is fine to question Israel today. It's fine. That's not. It's just be clear. What is your intention? You know. And yeah, obviously, you shouldn't call every criticism of Israel anti-Semitism. I think even most Jews would agree with that. Most Jews would agree with that. 100%. Okay, so now let's move forward. So Rob Schneider, I get to see him speak. It's great. Do I have footage of this? All right, was I holding it sideways here? God damn it. All right, is there a way? Let me see if there's a way I can. So Rob Schneider. Yeah, that was that. I don't think anyone is defending that. People are like, well, he might have been planned. Okay, let's say he ultimately redeems himself. That still was a really terrible look, dude. Oh, no, wrong thing. Hold on. Wrong file. But yeah, so I guess like I lean more Ben. I think Tucker. One thing I liked about Tucker goes, I don't think there's a civil war. He said that, which quieted the room a little.
Winner these days. California is a test case for what we don't know the rest of America. America is God's blueprint for humanity to live in prosperity, and that He is made in God's image and has inalienable rights. If you want to protest your government, do it by growing your own food and getting yourself and everyone in your family healthy. I knew I was on the right track when I was attacked for saying I want to put God, my family, and my country before my career.
Oh, someone on my Instagram just told me I was delusional. Okay. Yeah, let's see how many followers I've lost since posting my AmFest. Okay, I have lost 30 followers. All right, don't care. Bye. Weird. I don't really care, man. It's like, again, if you don't like, I feel like I'm pretty easy to talk to. You know what I mean? Pretty easy to talk to. I'm delusional. Okay. Because I don't think people should be killed for their opinions. All right. No, so Rob Schneider was great. He took shots at Candace Owens. And again, yeah, it's this thing. People lose. I'm sure I'm going to lose opportunities for speaking out. But you know what? I'm gaining a lot too. Because the fact of the matter is, a lot of the people who you'd appease would ultimately throw you under the bus anyway. That's the honest to God truth. You want a loyal fan base. And you don't have to share my views. I don't give a shit if you share my views. You know what I mean? I really don't. Just don't kill me. Oh, wait. I've had the Ben Shapiro poll up for way too long about the people prefer Ben with facial hair. Oh, very interesting. Our new poll, ladies and gentlemen. All right. So who you leaning toward? Obviously, that doesn't mean you agree with one more than the other. But who are you leaning toward? So people like Ben with facial hair. So Tucker or Ben Shapiro? Who are we leaning toward in this? Again, I'm not like a huge fan of either necessarily. But ultimately, I mean, given like, because here's the thing, we can't not address like the actual like Hitler supporting problem. Like I'm not a fan of that Hitler fella. You know, stunning and brave stance from Von Coleman. I don't want that shit. And then you see that shirt Myron Gaines was wearing. I'm like, because I thought, oh, he just like does the fresh and fit pocket. I had no idea that was like what his views were. I was like, holy shit. I didn't know. I was like, Jesus. I disavow MSK. I'm not going to read that comment. Jesus Christ. MSK is black, by the way. I swear to God, people are going to be like, look at the people in Vaughn's chat. And I'll be like, this is a black, like the Iron Man. This guy is black who's typing this. He types this and then he makes us all look bad. Jesus, MSK. Disavow. Terrible. Can you at least like make your profile picture look like you so we know? I don't just have a bunch of like white nationalists. You're not going to do that, you fucker. All right. Anyway, what was I going to say? No, you're not. You are not white. No, you are not. Yeah, Myron, dude, I saw that. I was like, holy shit. I do want. All right. So that Saturday, so I see Rob Schneider. I am going to touch on Myron Gaines. So we go, and then right after that, My friend invited me to. There was like a Turning Point Shabbat. Like it was just. I don't think it was directly related. I think it was just like people that were there did it, and it was my first time going to one. I was like an hour late. I don't know if that's rude, but I needed to see Rob Schneider speak. You know, as someone who's done film, someone who's seen his movies, I needed to see. It was very important to me that I do. So I go and I sit there and it was cool. It was interesting. They had Arnold Palmer, man. It was pretty cool. They had Arvid, I forget, are you Jewish? Because they had, so I don't know any of this. But they had like a little, almost like a shot glass at everywhere. I have no idea what the hell I'm talking about when it comes to this. But everyone was super nice. It was really cool. And of course, naturally, the Jewish people, they're pissed because they're like, obviously, you know, September 7th, you're Swedish. Why did I think you were Jewish? Well, you could be Swedish and Jewish. I don't know. But that was so they were naturally pissed. And one of the things they brought up though was they were like, a lot of it is Islam. You know, like Tucker has suddenly become very pro Qatar. He talks about how he's going to Qatar, and then he starts saying a lot of this stuff. Another one of the weird points Tucker brought up that was very bizarre is he goes, people are asking me to condemn my brother. Even if my brother went on a mass murdering spree, I wouldn't condemn him. Tyler Robinson, his own father turned him in for the greater good. What the hell are you talking about? If my sister went on a mass murdering spree, like I can still love my sister and be like, I condemn that. Yeah, Tucker said a lot of like stuff that in the moment it's like, I feel good. We all need to love each other. Yay. And then you kind of think, you're like, well, yeah, but what? Like that's how after really sleeping on a lot of what Tucker said, I was like, he said a lot of weird stuff. I don't know. Anyway, so I'm there. And one of the things they brought up at the Shabbat, they were like, hey, you guys didn't know it, but they are, yeah, exactly. It's more fallacies. Yeah. So they were like, we invited 3 Groypers here. You guys probably didn't even know that. One of them asked to come to Israel. Like he was like, that was one of the big talking points. And again, this is weird because so I was like fairly neutral, right? Okay, I've never been to fucking Israel. I'm not Jewish. But one of the things is I was like, the straw man I kept hearing, oh, they're just afraid of criticism. They invited Groypers there to say, hey, just have dinner. You could watch us talk, whatever. I just don't see the hiding like they're seeing. A lot of Jewish people were engaging in conversation with Groypers. I don't. And if you think that the Jewish people are losing, fine. But to say that they were avoiding them entirely, it's just a straw man. And I think that's it. I think people you want people to expose themselves. Like you want someone who has distasteful views to talk. Like as screwed up as it was, the fact that so many people cheered when Charlie Kirk was murdered, I was like, oh, okay, that's who you are. Act accordingly. And I think that's the case. In regards to people just need to speak openly. Let's say you speak openly and you find that, oh, this person doesn't hate Jews. They just don't like Israel or whatever. Sounds like an event for virgins. Okay. It's not. 100%. 100%. So then that night, there was a James O'Keefe after party right after the Shabbat. So I go there. They're like, hey, you can't bring your bag in. I'm like, can I just leave it somewhere? I end up being able to leave it somewhere. It's fine. I ran into a couple of people. I ran into Caitlin Bennett. Now I've never watched a ton of her, but I've seen clips of her. She's what they called her, like Gun Girl or whatever. I just took a picture of her. That was it. And then I was talking to my friend Jane, who got me in. She's great. And I talked to some others. There were some people I was like, hey, I recognize you from TikTok. Like people I'd seen on socials. Like, oh my God, yeah, I follow you guys. What's up? How you doing? And then I'm like sitting with this girl and I'm looking at the stage, and behind the curtain, I just like, this guy opens the curtain, looks around. I'm like, oh my God, that's Kyle Rittenhouse. So I'm just like, but you could tell he kind of wanted to keep to his own. He's behind the curtain a bit. So I just go like, all right, between us, I'm like, nice to meet you, Kyle. All right, I won't. And we just shook hands, and then he went back behind the curtain. I didn't want to draw attention to him or anything. But yeah, that was pretty cool. And then I saw Lauren Southern, and I was like, oh my God, you're Lauren. And she's like, yeah. I'm like, I was talking. She was so cool. I'm like, you know what? You never talked about enough. It was always politics. You like video games. Like, you're a gamer or whatever. I was like, I liked when you would talk about that. She's like, really? I'm like, yeah, you want to talk about that? You want to get a drink? I got a drink, and we just talked about like video games for a bit. But I felt bad because she just asked me what games I grew up playing. And I was like, Lego Star Wars, which probably made me sound retarded, to be honest. But we still were cool. We were hanging out. But it just happened that I'm sure we've played some of the same games. She was like, League of Legends? No. We both have played TF2. If you guys have, there's a video where she's dressed as Scout, and I brought it up, and she was like, oh my God. Lauren Southern, man, she was really cool. And then my phone was like dead, so it was in the corner. So I was like, all right, let me grab it. And then we didn't see each other the rest of the night. Like, all right, I may not see her again, but whatever. And then I was online the next day to see Brandon Tatum. And when I was online to see Brandon Tatum, she came in. Sorry, 1 second, guys. There you go. Yeah. So I was online, and she recognized me. She's like, hey, like, and then I'm like, oh, hey, we never got a picture. And she went up, we got a picture. She'll pick with Caitlin. Yeah, hold on 1 second. Let's see, I'm pulling this up. Hold on. I think I posted it on Twitter. I don't know if I posted it on the others. Took a lot of pictures. So, right here, it's Caitlin Bennett. And then, yeah. Brandon Tatum. So I was online for Brandon Tatum when I ran into Lauren Southern. Yeah. Lauren Southern's cool. She's really cool. And then let's see, what Saturday was like oddly quiet, considering Saturdays are normally like the busiest day. But yeah, Brandon Tatum. I watched Danica Patrick speak a little. I watched a couple of people speak. And then Jesse Waters was great. I've never really watched cable news or Fox News, but like I'm in the room sometimes when it's on the TV. Like my mom just has it on the background. So like I like know his face, but like I'd never heard him talk. And what I liked about his speech is even though it was about his career and stuff, and he brings up Trump, it was like very personable and just talking about funny memories on those tours, right? It was very human and very personable. It wasn't really all about politics or we need to do this or we need to own this. And I liked that. That was really cool. Tulsi Gabbard was awesome. That was like a huge highlight. I loved seeing Tulsi speak. Probably my favorite Democrat candidate. And again, it's really a shame that party is, gone the way it has, because I'm fairly moderate, but I'm like, oh my God, like even Tulsi, like the way she was just like run out of there. Nuts. But we're happy to have her. Again, taking the refugees, and I don't like the whole purity testing. Oh, this person is not truly a conservative. Doesn't matter. Welcome them with open arms. They're fellow. I think one of the main takeaways from me, one of the things I had was, if you want to put American citizens first, if you want what is best for the people within this country, you fundamentally love America, you're on my team. That's what I care about. You don't have to agree with me. You don't even have to vote the same way as me. The people that hate America and think it's fundamentally evil, regardless of whether extreme right or extreme left, you are not on my team. If you want what's best for the people in this country, you are on my team. We may have differing views on what that means, But as long as you want what is best and you believe in the Constitution, you are on my team. That's my stance. And there's going to be a lot of assumptions made about what the nature of the event was like. And it wasn't that crazy. And it was actually, it's funny. I was walking around. So this is a thing. So after Jesse Waters' speech, everyone goes, and I'm like, all right, it's going to get to the religious stuff. And I'm like, I'm not super religious, but I do kind of want to reconnect my faith. So I kind of walk away for a bit. My friend's going to watch it. And then as I'm walking a couple blocks away, I'm feeling like pulled. And I'm like, you know what? It's time. Like I reconnect with God. And I go back in and I'm like, hey, is there still room there? Yeah, we can let you back in. And I went back in, I sat down. It was really powerful stuff, you know? And it made me reconsider my faith. And that I've kind of been orbiting around God a lot. You know, I never stopped believing, but I haven't talked to him too much. And I don't know, I haven't looked into theology enough. And maybe I should. At least give it a try. And because, I mean, we talk about what we want, what's best, about doing the right thing. Well, there's got to be some kind of, I don't want to get, obviously shove my views down your throat, but there's got to be something up there, right? And that was kind of my thought process, is maybe it's something bigger than me, something bigger than all this, bigger than this political crap and what policy is better now. Anyway, at one point I'm walking around because I just felt like, I'm like, I want to wake up earlier tomorrow. I wasn't really feeling going out Saturday. In hindsight, I should have tried and found after parties, but I didn't. But, you know, Friday was great. So you wouldn't, you know, no big deal. But so anyway, I walked around. There was like this, I thought I saw Alex Stein in the window. Turns out he was debating the people there because that was like Destiny's thing. But they saw me and they were like, oh, you're more conservative. They were like, come on in. They were super nice. So I always want to give credit where it's like, welcome me with open arms. I'm like, I'm not here to debate. There, we don't care if you're here to debate. We welcome in. So they were super nice. And I was like, thank you. I was like, I appreciate like you guys just treating me nicely. Like we need more. And I shook hands and I ended up leaving because I was about to head home. I was just stepping into a bar for a second. I'm like, God damn it. I'm not stepping into the debate bar. But they were nice. They were nice to me. Not, you know, the people that were working for Destiny. The guy's name out front was like Ethan or something. Anyway. So then the final day is I go and I'm speaking. I was a little bit late. I didn't recognize a bunch of speakers again, especially if there were people in office. But there was like the guy who's, they called him Borders R. He spoke. But all right, let's get to the fun part. So, Glenn Beck, I've never watched anything Glenn Beck has done. But I know people like him. He's influential. Yeah, Tom Homan. He was cool. And I'm watching him, and his stuff was, again, I like the stuff that transcends politics. What can I say? His stuff was how you have the power to do what is best. Do what is best for you. It was really, you know, uplifting stuff. And for the second time, so the day before, they brought in Jeannie, you know, the poor woman from Target who was targeted by that awful, nasty girl. I was in the VIP lounge. I wasn't in a room for that, but I watched that on TV. Jeannie come out. But then Glenn Beck brought her out again.
Jeannie! And Jeannie said, I don't know what's happened. The reaction has been what?
Overwhelming.
Yeah. She said she didn't understand why everybody was asking her for a selfie. Can you explain what you're curious about, what you don't understand?
Because I'm just a normal person.
And that is why we're here. We were talking backstage and I said,
when I was young, when I was your age, and she was your age, there wouldn't have been somebody like this up on stage because it was the normal thing to do. Now it's not. And I wanted to thank you for being normal.
I love Jeannie. So and then apparently her husband passed away recently too, which is part of why, Charlie resonated with her. So next up, after God bless you, Jeannie, we had Donald Trump Jr. who called his dad. So one of the security guards, and I think they were doing this intentionally to mislead, because one of the security guards the day before goes, "Don't tell anyone, but Trump's coming tomorrow." I'm like, "Oh, all right," and I'm like, why would he just tell me that? And I think they were told to say that to mislead people by who the actual special guest was going to be. But Trump Jr., he calls his dad on the phone. He's like, "Hey, sorry, couldn't make it here, whatever." And I'm thinking, okay, it's full of shit. The surprise guest is going to be Trump. And then next to me, someone goes, no, I think it might be someone else. And like, what if it's Candace Owens, which would be really funny because they just had a meeting. But I'm like, no, Candace has gone scorched earth again right after the meeting, and they spent the whole time shitting on her. While it would be funny, I just don't think that's going to happen. So they're like, what if it's Sydney Sweeney and she's going to walk out in the jeans? I'm like, that would be hysterical. I'm like, it's still a good chance it's Trump. But now I'm thinking, I'm like, who's it going to be? And then someone next to me goes, Nicki Minaj. Apparently she and Vance have been talking. Now, full disclosure, I had heard, someone told me years ago that Nicki Minaj was conservative leaning and that goes to Mar-a-Lago and all that. I've known that for years. But so I'm like, oh, that could be it. And I'm like thinking, who else? I'm like, Sylvester Stallone? Who else? It's got to be someone big. If it's not Trump, it has to be someone big, almost bigger in a way, in the sense that, like, okay, obviously Trump is going to be at a Republican event. This has to be something big. And they make us wait for like a good 3 to 5 minutes. Just like, because normally the way it's been such a fast moving show, AmFest, even those 4 days, like person, advertisement, person. It was like fast moving. You shut your bitch ass up, MSK. Shit was good. Shit was good, man. I was listening to it. I'm like, this is, and I want to talk, because this is my favorite part, probably. This is the most, I would say, probably the most exciting. Dude, wait, where is it? Oh, right, it's on my Instagram. Or is it on my Facebook? 1 second. Oh, yeah, it's on my Facebook. All right, here we go, boys. The fuck?
She's got the longest tenured career, probably any female rapper. How many times you want this female rapper? The first female rapper from the Super Bowl, forced to fight on constant word rap star, has gained so much notoriety for speaking. Let's go!
They hyped it up.
Let's go!
Dude. dude. It was so hype. Never seen it. Yeah, so one of the things that was really cool. And I think people don't understand, I don't think, how big of a deal that actually is. And so already on Twitter now, first of all, I didn't find out who the Barbs are. So our friends are the Barbs. I love these people. Like it's a lot of like sassy women, especially black women and gay guys. They're the funniest fucking people, dude. They're menaces. I love them. It's the weirdest thing, but I love it. And again, you know what? I've always been Big Ten, right? I want people varying views. I don't want the whole purity testing thing. You don't have to fit in or do the exact lifestyle I have. She seems completely genuine and sincere. Again, I've known for a while. People told me that this is her thing. She handled it so perfectly, and she wasn't even super political. She sounds a lot like how I sound. Where I'm like, can't we just talk to each other and still? And to be honest, I think that like I'll have conversations with people that are more like left or whatever at bars, but I think it's just a lot of people on the left are really scared, mostly of their own side. I'm not scared of people on the right. People want to say, Vaughn, why did you say this? I don't care, because I don't think that's going to happen. I can just disagree. And but people don't realize like how big of a deal. Like, all right, so when I was in middle school, like the middle school dances, like that song Super Bass, that was like the shit in Starship. Nicki Minaj was like now I'm sure she wasn't a one-hit wonder, but I mean an instant hit. But she like exploded onto the scene and like rose right up and hasn't really dropped. She looks fucking great too. Like I was looking, someone was posting a side by side of her 8 years ago. She looks exactly the same. Like whatever she's doing, it's working. And she's wearing a more conservative dress, and that's just her physique. Like she looks unreal. She's 43, dude, and she looks fucking incredible. Not to keep simping for Nicki Minaj, but also, can we just say this? This is one of the other things too, because we were like talking about restricting immigration, whatever. No one is like, for the most part, fully against immigration. And there's a lot of weird owns, which proves to me that like a lot of lefties don't actually know like what people, and it's even weird to call myself on the right, but like people on the right believe, right? They're like, oh, she wasn't even born here. Okay, and neither was Russell Brunson. A lot of people were not born here. I talked, and this was another thing. I had heard this sentiment multiple times. I was talking, and it was after the convention's over. I did an interview with this girl from the Netherlands, and she looks to me. She goes, when we need hope, when our free speech is under attack, we look to you in America. You guys are our hope. We follow you now. These are places that are older than us. The Dutch, was it Holland at the time, right? They came here, or didn't the Pilgrims go there first, then here? I'm just making this connection in my head now. They look to us now. The UK, people from the UK, who we broke from, we were the little colonies. They look to us now for hope. This isn't just America. We are hope for the whole world. And I think it's important to put aside a lot of our petty squabbles. Now, some aren't petty. Like the whole being pro-Holocaust, not petty to me. That is no. Hard no, right? Like what Myron Gaines was doing. He was just being a fucking asshole. Like he was making fun of a pregnant woman. Like that was gross. But like like the whole thing is we need to kind of like get together and realize that there's a world out there that needs saving. We need to talk to each other again, and that's what this is what Charlie wanted. And another thing, I feel like Erica Kirk being in charge, a widow, you know, is, I don't know that Charlie would have been able to get Nicki Minaj. It's possible, but Erica, I think, worked it, made it happen. And it's funny, so many, and every black person basically I know who, they don't even have to be right wing, who's not, you know, a Democrat, has been, and same with the gay community. Those two communities, I think, the LGBT and the black community, relentlessly bully people in their own community into being Democrats. And if they disagree, they're like basically disowned. I had a friend in college when I was in Turning Point. I was like, why don't you join us? You agree with us on everything. He's like, I'm afraid I'll get kicked out of student of color groups. I'm sorry. The only requirement should be that if you're in student of color, that should be the only requirement. Don't you want I want people who disagree with me to talk, because I need to challenge my views. I need different perspectives. I mean, some people know more than me. If you want your views to be challenged, you have to accept that you might be wrong on some stuff. That is so important. And so many people are just seeing, oh my God, they're tearing Nicki down. Nicki, you want to talk about, I'm kind of all over the place, but like the American dream, right? She came here from Trinidad, okay? She made something of herself. And now, and she always was a proud American. And one of the things, like, even if some of her song, I'm like, that's not for me. She always looked like she was having the time of her life, dolling herself up, wearing these crazy makeups, doing these crazy music videos that were just unforgettable. Nicki Minaj has always looked like someone who's just enjoying herself, just having the time of her life. And that, like, even if you don't like her music, that's something we can all kind of get behind. And then you could, like, she loves this country. She came from another place. She came here. She embraced this country and its cultures while still respecting and loving her roots. And what is she, a billionaire now? She's rich as hell. That's the American dream right here. Like Nicki Minaj, like seriously, that is the American dream, what she's done. And you can be like, ew, but she says stuff that's whatever. I don't like the way she dresses, blah, 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 blah. That's fine. But in just looking at that on its own, that is the American dream. You know, my ancestors, a lot of them came here, whether from Ireland or whatever, because they wanted to make something of themselves. And they fell in love with this country. A lot of them ended up, you know, dying for this country, right? This is someone who she doesn't have really much to gain. She's doing this because she believes in the right thing. She have the courage to change your mind. And I'm always worried that there's going to be like the Puritans that are like, we don't want you here. But so far, I'm not seeing too much of that. I don't care like that. Like, okay, Anaconda, you could be like, that's not conservative. But I don't think anyone truly cares that much. You have to understand how huge of a win this is. That, like, okay, there are a lot of stuff she does. Like almost every one of her songs is explicit, right? It'll say explicit next to it. Not exactly conservative, yet we embrace her with open arms because that's who we are, you know? And I think that's a good point. And seeing Nicki Minaj's fans, like there was one interaction I saw where it's like, I don't like Trump, but this hatred is like insane. Like you can still like Nicki and not like Trump, and they're like, this is cult-like. Like some of the people saying this, it's just insane. All right, this one right here. This one I wanted to show off, right? Right here. And this is, again, where I think, like, if I were to bet, I bet Nicki was probably more liberal-leaning or just apolitical. I love that I have free will and still love Nicki Minaj and hate Trump, okay? Perfectly fine. You know, I even like the tweet. I'm like, good on you. You can hate, like, especially if you're a liberal fan, you're like, Vaughn, I hate every single person you took a picture with. I don't care. I thought MAGA was transphobic, but look at these replies. Y'all act the same way when you're mad. First of all, and it's like, yeah, these people will go. I have had like gay friends that have told me they're like, the most hatred of God for being gay is fellow gay people when I tell them I lean differently. Like even people that think homosexuality is a sin will often be like, Yeah, but I still want you to go to heaven, even if you might think they're annoying or pestering you or pressuring you. Like the vitriol that people will get is just, it's insane. So overall, and again, I'm not, if you'll notice, my demeanor hasn't changed too much. I'm not going to be some super political YouTuber, you know, but fuck, this is just, it feels good to be a goddamn American. It feels good. God bless America. God bless Nicki Minaj. A lot of people are unfollowing me on Instagram specifically. It is what it is. It is what it is. I'm not really scared of being canceled anymore, and I want more people to speak out like Nicki Minaj. You don't have to agree with someone on everything. I'm not going to speak out on every issue. And I think the one thing that I understand where people get annoyed is once you start doing the whole purity testing thing, that's a slippery slope. Because then people go, Vaughn, what did you think of when this person you took a picture with said this? I'm not going to answer every single one of those questions. And if someone buys my book or someone takes a picture with me, like, oh, Vaughn, I liked your book. Can I take a picture with you? I don't know what their politics are. And they might not know what mine is. We talk politics too much. And I went there and, yeah, I feel better and more optimistic about the future. There's so much I wanted to talk about. So much. But also that Candace Owens is coping and seething is really funny. Like, she's so mad, dude. She's pissed. It's really funny. It's really funny, honestly. What else was I going to say? Oh, God. There was something else. I was saving a lot of, like, the Nicki Minaj. I was going to go, like, further into certain things in politics, and I realized, you know what? I think leaving it where it is kind of nice. But yeah, the canceling is not working at the level it used to. Again, you have to, whenever someone tries to play high ground with you, be like, you celebrated someone getting murdered. Someone tried to do this the other day. Like, hey, didn't he say something about the Civil Rights Act? Which I don't even think that he said what they're saying he said. But everything you do, you look at their intention. You go, he's someone that thinks that these 60s acts in civil rights movements didn't help as much as we think they did. He's someone, you talk to anyone who knew him that wanted them to succeed, right? I think we're allowed to look at and say, why aren't things getting better for certain people? And I think ultimately we all want what's best for our fellow Americans. That's the bottom line. And I think we'll get there. And AmFest was also a damn good time. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching. I think I'm going to leave it off on that note. But the barbs, I will call myself, do I call myself a barb? I don't know, but it's really funny. Shit. Okay. I got to catch up on. Oh, God. Wow, I have a lot of messages. All right. I got some work to do. I will, guys. Thank you so much. I have been away for like a week. And I forgot Twitter messages are the worst, so I missed some good stuff. I forgot. They're weird. Thank you, guys. Have a great rest of your day. Check out Phenomenova issue 3 if you have not already. And I am going to play this video right here.
In life, you will realize the more rewarding thing to do might be the more difficult thing to do. That is a guaranteed way that you will experience opposition. The most important question is not whether it is easy or not. It is it worth it? And the more often that you choose the deep, the difficult, but the right path over the easy path is one that will reward you, your family, and this beautiful nation.
He fell believing America was worth dying for. And for 250 years, our history has been written by those who stood firm against every force who swore to break this country.
We are in a spiritual war, everybody, that is beyond just the material that we are seeing. This country was founded by courageous Bible-believing Christians. Jeremiah 29:7, seek the welfare of the nation that you are in, because your welfare is tied to your nation's welfare. What makes this movement different is that you are here as a grassroots response to the top-down revolution happening in this country. Disobedience to tyrants is obedience to God, because liberty is not man's idea, it is God's idea. Will the people who are the sovereign in this country do everything they possibly can with this incredible blessing given to us by God to fight back and win?
Where then is the road to peace? You and I have the courage to say to our enemies, there is a price we will not pay. There is a point beyond which they must not advance.
When Turning Point USA was started, I could not have imagined what God had in store for this organization. My political journey was in the midst of the Obama craze in Chicago. As someone who was generally conservative, I realized this generation, millennials, is going to be the most progressive generation in history if we don't do something about this.
We're active in about 15 campuses, and we're growing very, very quickly. And keep in mind, this is not just the flash in the pan movement. We're going to become an institution to give them the power and the confidence to stand up and let their voice be heard.
I was 18, no idea what I was doing, no connections, no money. We didn't have an office, we didn't have a staff. It was just me just traveling the country doing this, pure grit, pure energy. We are an organization committed to ideas and to principles, not the political parties or politicians. We are in a generational battle right now that the stakes could not be higher. And the experiment and the gift that our founding fathers gave to us could be easily lost if we don't make the proper choices to the right course of actions.
That's a lot of people, Utah, I'll tell you what.
After Charlie's assassination, we didn't see violence. Instead, we saw what my husband always prayed. We saw revival.
You're going to hear of what Charlie did, but I'm here today to tell you the why in what he did. The why brought him the courage. The why brought him the wisdom and the strength. The why is the one that Charlie wanted to welcome as the guest of honor. The guest of honor, his resume is long. He's the King of Glory. He's the Prince of Peace. He's the Savior of the world. He's the living God. He's the God of all mercy and grace. The total embodiment of love. The total embodiment of truth. And he's here today to call his children back to him.
I know I speak for everyone here today when I say that none of us will ever forget Charlie Kirk.
We speak with Charlie and for Charlie louder than ever.
The tyrant dies and his rule is over. The martyr dies and his rule has just begun.
We should be thankful, not angry, to live in this country. Would you agree? We should be thankful. We should be kissing the ground and say we are the luckiest human beings ever to exist, that we are able to live in this country at this time. And yet I see that half our country seems upset. They seem angry. that they're born in this country. America is the greatest country ever to exist, period, bar none. Is the greatest country ever to exist, right?
250 years of brave Americans have proven those words true. Ordinary people choosing sacrifice over comfort, duty over self.
I want to honor God in all that I do. I want to be a great husband, a great father. I want to serve this country. I want to try to continue to lead this movement and to speak truth and to never lie. To stop thinking about yourself all the time and instead think about what you should do to help other people and to defend this country above yourself. You still live in the greatest nation ever to exist in the history of the world. There is still so much to be hopeful and to be thankful for. And we have agency.
When truth is under attack, America has always answered with voices that refuse to be silenced. Charlie was one of those voices, and now it's our turn to pick up the mic.
We have only begun to fight.
We call ourselves Phenomenova. Yesterday, the Stormbearers, a deadly group of mercenaries, took control of a nuclear reactor. Before we arrived on the scene, Galvanite, a superpowered teenage boy, attempted to stop them. He failed. His story ended there that day. Ours began shortly after. Today, I sift through the memories of that day. I will put the pieces together, and we will bring those responsible to justice.